Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Today is Friday. Are you done with this week? I know I am. I cannot wait to get some sleep. I doubt that's going to happen. It is Friday. It is May 19th. Yesterday, as you know, I love that we're building our Texas Fully Loaded team and family because it allows me the opportunity to maybe take 5 seconds with my kids or to have some travel mercies and some grace there on some of that stuff. And Rachel and John, and I know Walter popped into the show for a little bit yesterday. They did a fantastic job as they always do. So I'm truly eternally grateful for them. So I hope you guys showed them lots of love yesterday. I tried to pop on for a second while I was boarding the plane. As you guys remember yesterday, it was a travel day for me yesterday, and I'm going to mom brag because I'm allowed to. Gosh darn it. But yesterday was Arthur's award ceremony. And it was also, hold on, if I knew how to work my computer, that would probably make this go a lot smoother. Prayers for that. So anyway, yesterday was his little kindergarten award ceremony. And I saw the principal. I've known the principal for 12 years now, 13 years since Alex was in kindergarten. He's a senior this year. So there's that. So I've known her all this time, and she came up, she gave me a huge hug like she always does. And I said, hey, I'm glad we're getting to say hi right now. I'm not going to be able to stay. I have to fly out. And she goes, oh gosh, what's going on? And so I gave her the 8-second, not even 8 seconds, the 3-second version of what was happening in Plainview. And she almost passed out. And she goes, Miss Whitten, I cannot wrap my brain around what you just said. Did you just say that they said that it was consensual for 6-year-olds to? And I said, yes, ma'am, I did. And she's like, I don't even know what to say. And so anyway, I got to see him in the little hallway there, as you guys can see. Look at how cute that little boy is. And then, so I snuck over, and one of the aides was absolutely having a fit, and she was yelling at me in Spanish that I needed to go and sit back down, but I do what I want. And so anyway, but no, I was very proud of my little Arthur and all of his little friends, and my little nephew Dexter was there as well. So he's really enjoyed being in kindergarten. He's enjoyed kind of coming out, exploring, different personalities and friends and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been an exciting year to watch him grow. I think that kindergarten is an important year, and I am a firm believer that there should be more involvement in kindergarten. And I think that because kids need socialization, they need that opportunity. He has become such an amazing little reader. He reads all the time, even when he's not, I don't want to say not supposed to, because that doesn't really sound good, but even when he's not required to. And at the beginning of the year, I taught him, because I'm a terrible speller. I know that y'all don't believe that, but I really am an awful speller. And sometimes I'm a really, really bad reader. And so I try to phonetically say words, and that doesn't always work out. But I know that if you can spell it, then you can read it, and that's a good foundation to start your life off on. And so it's something that I've always taught the boys. But for some reason, Arthur is he's my shining star. So he's the one who has not fought me on it at all. Anyway, just some fun mom story there. But so I got to see him get his little awards. I ran over, I kissed him, I took that quick selfie, and then Alexander and I rushed over to the airport, and I got on the plane. I got through TSA. Laredo Airport's not insane, so it wasn't bad, but I was able, hey, Walt, I'm giving my accounts of yesterday before I even got to Plainview. It was an exciting adventure. But anyway, so then I got past TSA, went to the restroom just in time to go potty and then jump on the plane that quickly. But what was fun, this was really cool. So you never know who you're going to meet in an airport. You just don't. And so years ago, I quit traveling in yoga pants and baggy sweatshirts because you just never know who you're going to meet in the airport. And even when I'm traveling with the kids. So yesterday I had the honor of meeting this lovely woman right here. And what was fun is, so you guys know that we have a love affair, political love affair with Louis Gohmert. And that was his wife's best friend and roommate. in college, and her mother actually fixed Kathy Gomert's, now Gomert's, clearly, dress for them to go out on their first date. Is that not fun? You just never know who you're going to meet. I see what you're doing right now. He's so mean to me. Are you going to unmute yourself, or are you just going to keep being just a butt?
Well, that was fun. Y'all met in the bathroom?
We did meet in the bathroom. She was complimenting my dress.
Yeah.
That's how the conversation
and by the
started.
way, yeah, I'm the one who talked your best friend's husband out of Congress. So
I didn't exactly say it like that, but we did have a really good conversation. And anyway, so it was funny because, you know,
usually whenever I'm in an airport bathroom and there's someone next to me, we don't do the whole, hey, didn't I see you at the Bruder's wedding last year, or back in '93 spring? You were wearing the teal tuxedo. Please don't do that.
Apparently, we have to have some clarification for boys who've never been into the girls' bathroom.
This is why we have trans problems, because people talk in bathrooms. Just go in, do your business.
No, look, it's not like we're like stall to stall, like, hey, who's next door? It's not like that. It's, you know, we were washing our hands, and she came out and she saw my dress.
At least you were washing your hands.
What, like I don't typically?
Well, no, I mean, you go to the men's bathroom, so that's a different story. Especially in airports, that's just weird. Anyway.
Gosh. Anyway, she was very sweet, and then so it started. Now, what's funny? Okay, so y'all, I don't know if y'all could tell or not, but my dress is yellow. The dress that I wore yesterday was all yellow. I mean, you saw that. Oh, if you watched our lives about Plainview, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So yesterday morning, we're getting ready to leave, and Alex and Minnie were like, "Oh wow, you look like Big Bird." And I'm like, what? Shut up. You better shut up. And they're like, you look just like Big Bird. And Alex is like, don't worry, Mom. I've been a fan of Big Bird ever since I was little. So
hey, do me a favor.
All right.
Do me a favor. Do a profile shot.
You better stop. I don't even like you.
Let's see what that beak looks like.
Oh, I knew you were going to say something about my nose. You're so mean to me. You're so mean to me. So anyway, so then after that was the second lady that complimented my dress since I was at the airport. And so I we have a text with Manny and the big boys. And so I text them and I was like, just so the peanut gallery knows, a lot of people have given me compliments on my dress, so I don't look like Big Bird. And then somebody, I don't remember who it was, one of them sends me a gift back, and it's Big Bird spinning around on roller skates.
I'm glad you weren't wearing roller skates, because the way the wind was blowing yesterday.
Oh my gosh. The wind was insane in Plainview. So like, I was not prepared. So I had this really cute little dress on because I figured
there's a reason why they have all those little windmills up there.
Look, I've never been up here before. So I was not.
Where are you at? Are you still in Lubbock?
Yeah. So I was not emotionally or mentally prepared. So I just figured I'd have a nice little dress on, something comfortable that looks nice for me to be able to go from kinder graduation, if you want to call it that, all the way through to being at the school board meeting and all that kind of stuff.
How many phones did you have?
2.
And what did you have to do with your hands the whole time? That's right. Hold your skirt down. Yeah.
I almost had a serious Marilyn Monroe moment all the time I was outside. I couldn't even drink my bottle of water. It was intense. There was a lot happening with that wind out there.
Boots and jeans. Everyone else had them on. Women, that is.
They were prepared for the wind situation.
Mm-hmm. But the blonde wasn't.
The blonde was not. Go ahead and make your comments, Walter.
It happens.
Can we? Thank you, Mimi, I think.
Mimi, you would have been proud. You would have been proud.
She said, well, Walter can't, he's not wearing his glasses, so I see him squinting. So let me read this. She said, well, you may have looked like Big Bird, but at least you weren't wearing an I'm commie shirt. It's true.
No, well, actually, that was the third member of the third member of the school board was wearing that.
We're going to talk about that right now, actually. Miss Patty, you're correct. But I was thinking nice, light summery. I was expecting heat because it's Texas and it's not been a super hot summer yet. No, Mimi, I did not hear about a Laredo City Councilwoman who wants to violate our Second Amendment rights. I'm excited to hear about that. We're going to have fun with that one. All right, so let's talk about, Walt, what happened yesterday. So we get there, and I emailed myself some pictures. I did not get a chance to email myself any videos, so I'll pull those up on the
I'll be performing some TikToks this weekend that'll be very productive, since I'm a TikTok sensation apparently, and I am taking autographs and I do requests, and I can send those out to classrooms at a time or to office parties. My autograph TikTok monograms are going at a decent rate, $19.99, and there's more. So anyway, but no, that was very exciting. Getting off of I-27, taking the first, I believe it was I-27, taking the first right turn, and having the police do a circle, pull right in behind me, and it's just like, yeah, we just got marked.
Oh wait, that. So over here on the right side of the screen, you guys, there was probably like, I think 5 or 6, because there was some kind of behind, state trooper vehicles. And then,
they had a full perimeter set up.
Oh, they absolutely did. Hold on, I've got more. But wait, there's more. So then we see the parking lot, and this is what we're met with: more police cars, sheriff's vehicles. Also, wasn't there even fire people out there, Walter?
Yep, I thought firefighters were out there. Not a fire truck, just probably their SWAT responders.
I thought that maybe we had. I had the picture. They had lookouts on top of the roof.
Yep. They were operating the drone from there, as well as they were taking crowd pictures. They were, copying license plates numbers down. It was pretty comical.
They were doing the most. They truly were. Now this is.
The FBI has, the Department of Justice has declared that most parents that go to protest at the school board meetings are considered domestic terrorists. So that being said,
well, and that's exactly what I was fixing to say. They have to make sure of who they're marking. And at one point I told a couple of people that I was speaking with, I said, hey, you see that up there? Make sure you wave and smile pretty. And I told them, I said, that's exactly what they're doing. And they're like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah.
So if you pay attention though, I really thought Plainview, the Plainview Police Department did a very good job. They actually went out and engaged the crowd. They talked to people. The 2 officers that came out, it's in one of the lives that I did. The 2 officers that came out, they were very customer service friendly, so to speak. The sheriff, obviously, they've got to be a little more reserved. The troopers, they're just in the background observing, doing whatever until time for things to happen. And then the ISD police, they were the most contentious group. But the Plainview Police Department, the city police department, I felt their chief must have given their guys some good guidance on how to deal with this, because it was pretty obvious with the SWAT team sitting out there that these were not the people that were going to burn down the building.
Now I want to give some explanation on this picture. It looks a lot less full than it should, but this is while people were coming in still. So Walt was on the outside. I went inside. I was going to actually speak. Surprise, surprise, they cut off the speakers. Are you shocked by that, Walter?
No, it's, you go into the different sessions that they want to go into as soon as they bring it up. I do understand, though, that they did not stick with the agenda, or they changed the agenda at the last minute, which is actually a violation. We didn't discuss that yesterday with the family and with the folks that were out there with the concerned citizens and the concerned taxpayers. But
so I don't know if they had an agenda online ahead of time. They did not provide an agenda for people who were coming into the meeting, which is against, I think it's not against the rules.
No. You have to, if they post the agenda online, they don't have to give it to you.
Okay,
but it has to be posted within 24 hours or 72 hours of the meeting happening.
Okay, so we go in. Of course, people were. It was obvious that a lot of people have never been to. This was the first time ever coming to a meeting. In fact, everybody that I spoke to, that was their very first time ever coming to a school board meeting. And then there were several people that have said, "Well, I've never gone to any kind of official meeting or anything along those lines, so I don't really know what to expect." So there's pros and cons to this. Go ahead.
Well, the reason they were there at this meeting, that's what you expect whenever you are not involved. And a lot of people were shocked that this is how things turned out. I think they were expecting a little more civility on the part of the school board.
I think that they were, well, they were upset that because they said in the beginning, they didn't quote Robert's Rules of Orders, but they were kind of explaining how the meeting was going to go. They did provide, and I took a picture of this because I did sign up to speak. And at one point they said, we need, if you did not fill out the paperwork all of the way, then you're not going to be allowed to speak. And I'm like, so I played a little, I clapped back a little bit, and then they came back and they said, you know what? No, we'll allow her to speak. And I said, okay, that's better. But what they did instead, so they put on they had a 2-page piece of paper that explained their rules on how the board meeting was going to go if you wanted to speak. Okay. So it says, Exhibit A, audience participation sign-up sheet, page 1. Exhibit B, sample statement for introducing the public comment segment of a board meeting, page 1. Okay. So then it explains how it's going to work. Everyone's going to get 3 minutes to speak. When necessary for effective management or to accommodate large numbers of individuals wishing to address the board, the presiding officers may make adjustments to the public comment procedures, including adjusting when public comment will occur during the meeting, reordering agenda items, continuing agenda items for a later meeting, providing expanded opportunity for public comment, or establishing an overall time limit for public comment, and adjusting the time allotted to each speaker. However, no individual shall be given less than 1 minute to make a comment. A speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to address the board. If, however, the total number of speakers seeking to address the board at a meeting exceeds 5, the pre-speaker time limit may be reduced to 1 minute. In no event will a speaker be given less than 1 minute to address the board. This comment period is not intended for the presentation of complaints. The board will only consider complaints that remain unresolved after they have been addressed through proper administrative channels and that have been placed on the agenda. For further information on those requirements, contact the superintendent. Now, 4 is where I figured we were dead in the water, which was the last one I just read, saying that if they feel like they've addressed it, then they're not going to allow anybody else to comment on it anymore. And I'm like, as soon as I read it, as I took a picture of it, because you had that page, you had to turn in that one that I just read to you. So I took a picture of it and I said, I'm taking a picture of this so I know what to expect from your meeting. And they said, okay, that's fine. I was like, I'm not giving you an option. I just put my name on a piece of paper. I'm going to have a copy of it. So then they start the meeting off, and it wasn't the superintendent, but I guess it's the president of the board or whoever. He was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Clearly more than 5 people have signed up. Nobody's going to speak out of turn. You can't address any. Now, this is standard for meetings. You can't speak out of turn. You can't address anybody by name. You can't insult people, all of those kinds of things. So stuff that, oh yeah, he had to go. He's got a meeting. So all of those things that you typically expect to see in a meeting, no big deal. Yes, Rachel, that is correct. But that the rules are made up and the points don't matter anyway, right? So they were clearly doing what they wanted to do. They started off with the newest. I didn't know this at the time, of course, because it's not my school board. It's not, I don't know the people and all the players. I only know what the information that's being provided to me. So the newest member of the school board had to read the statement that they had, and essentially she was like, upon the outcry from the community, we understand that there's frustration and there's outrage and there's a lot of hurt, but we've checked and double checked, and we followed all the rules, and we followed the guidelines that the CPS provided, and that we have. We see that maybe we might need to make some tweaks, and good talk. And they feel sorry that there is people who feel like they didn't do enough. But that was it. I mean, it was the most like statement that we've ever. I was pretty much like, wow. They took how many weeks to come up with that humdinger? Like, it was like, thank you for your time. Now goodbye. So parents were pissed off by it. Naturally so, completely pissed off by it. I was pissed off by it. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And I made that statement. I said, the fact that they've had weeks to prepare for this moment, and that was the best that they could come up with, that's a slap in the face to every single parent. That's a slap in the face to every single teacher, even the janitor. That's a slap in the face to the dogs that run through the freaking school parking lot. Like, what a crock of crap. So there was that. So then the guy, he had his arm in like a sling. I believe he's a pastor or is fixing to become a pastor, and people have stopped going to his church since this has started happening. So there you have that. And he was kind of being a little bit of a, if you know what I'm saying, to the people who were going to speak, or before people were speaking. He was the one who was like, I'm in charge here, and you're going to, he was very, for those of you who follow Texas Ledge, he was very Todd Hunter-ish. But he wasn't like, he didn't have I'm not even going to try and give Todd any credibility either, but he was just making it clear this is his boardroom and he was running this meeting, and the rest of you can go F yourself. He did not say that part, but it was implied. So he said, look, there has been more than 5 people that signed up. So we're limiting everyone's comments to 1 minute. And if you are unruly, we will kick you out. And if you try to go over your time limit, we will kick you out. Now, the first people that got to speak, the only people that got to speak, were the family members. They were each only given 1 minute, and they were all escorted off and out of the building. Then the last person to speak, well, hold on, I'm really jumping ahead of myself. They went into executive session for 32 minutes. As soon as they prayed, they gavelled in, and they said, okay, well, under Texas law, we're going to go right into that room and have executive session. So they did. They sat in there for like 30 something minutes, and then they came out. And then they read that crap statement, and then they proceeded with the testimony. So parents were being kicked out, and I do have the videos here. I think they're on this phone. You can't, I'm not going to try and, this is actually the statement, I think. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
At this time, Madam Vice President will speak.
At a lawfully called meeting on May 18th, 2023, the Plainview Independent School District Board of Trustees does hereby make the following statement regarding the health and safety of all Plainview ISD students. A very disheartening and precedented situation occurred at Plainview South Elementary. It has been confirmed that school and district administrators abided by the instructions given to to him by Child Protective Services and law enforcement, and followed all legal requirements well within the time frame as required by the state of Texas and the United States government. It was also confirmed that the teacher was abiding by the same structure of teams across the district and state used to test students as required by the Texas education agencies for the end of year reading proficiency when the unsettling situation occurred. The Plainview ISD Board of Trustees, along with the superintendent, have been deeply saddened by the situation and are very concerned for the children first and foremost, the families, PISD faculty, and the community. The board and superintendent understand one of the intensely felt concerns in this situation is communication. With such a serious circumstance, Plainview ISD administrators were responsible for keeping the situation confidential as directed by investigators and required by law to protect children and families involved until outcomes could be revealed. The board and superintendent appreciate our teachers who are dedicated to their students. We appreciate families and community members who recognize a need and are resolute in advocating for safety in every classroom for every student. The board and superintendent also recognize the need to change the evolving challenges for our students, faculty, administrators, and community face. We are dedicated to the safety and well-being of every student. Moving forward, Plainview ISD, in collaboration with parents, community leaders, administrators, and board members, will review and modify school policies to make necessary changes. The Plainview ISD Board of Trustees and Superintendent send their deepest regrets to the parents and guardians of all the students involved in this incident. Liars, steadfast to offer counseling and support to help families move forward.
So just before I move forward, did that sound like my quick, once over of that was off basis? Because listening to it again, I think I could have even been a little bit harsher in how they were pretty much just, yeah, so good luck, as we say in the military community, BZ and peace out, right? It was pretty crappy. Now here's the deal. We have been last night and all of yesterday, from the time that we arrived until the time that we left, all we heard was more and more and more and more and more cases of things that have happened that should never have happened. That if there was involvement, it wouldn't be happening. If there was teachers paying attention, if the inmates weren't running the asylum, things like that. We heard about football players who have videos on their phones on the school bus getting blowjobs on the way to school or on the way to games and things like that. Just all sorts of stuff. And again, this stuff happens in other schools. So I'm not going to pick on only these kids, right? This stuff happens all across the state. It happens all across the country. But the difference is this school board, this district, these administrators, these teachers are not properly addressing this. They are not stopping this. They are just letting, kids are going to be kids. And gosh darn it, it was consensual, because gosh golly, if it's consensual for 6-year-olds, then it's consensual for football players. The crap. There needs to be more outrage over this. There needs to be more people going, wait a second. Because what are we paying these people for? What happens when you get a school like mine where parents are not allowed in the building even to administer medication to their children, which is against the school board's policy? Sometimes part of the problem of being an activist is you're so busy activating for other people that you forget that you still have to activate at home. But I'll get back to that later. But if we want to get serious about this stuff, then we have to be involved. Now, as I said, they kicked out every single person that spoke. The last person that spoke before they didn't even say that there wasn't any more public comment. They didn't even say that they were going to quit taking public comment. All of a sudden, they just moved right on along. Now, if I am wrong in that, I'll admit it, because there was a lot of outrage in that room. But the last person that got to speak was the husband of the principal of the elementary school. And that's something. Now, he started off with, as Heather was being kicked out of the room, as Heather was being forcibly removed by the police, the ISD police. Yeah, as this is happening here. Sorry, Miss Patty, I know you hate it. That gentleman right there gets up and he goes and speaks. I want you to hear what he has to say. Hold on, give her just a second. Just 1 second.
My name is Landon Huey, and I have a daughter who's a first grader in South Elementary. The way that this incident at South Elementary has grown out of proportion is not only embarrassing, but dangerous. It is unfair and inappropriate to make heinous allegations on social media, especially while an investigation is already ongoing. But in a world where the facts can be boring, sensationalism sells. Fake news and misinformation spreads fast and spreads even faster when one party is unable to comment due to an ongoing investigation. But I don't understand where we're going. We all care about our children's safety and well-being in school. What's next? Sure, we can make personnel changes, but that's not a real solution because the root of this issue extends well beyond our schools. I know this. I trusted my child, my first grade daughter, who attends South Elementary. Thank you, sir.
So because your child is safe, that's okay that hers wasn't? That's all right, Harriet.
So, as I said, I found out, I think before he even completely sat down, as soon as I got done recording, multiple people made the statement that that's the principal's husband of the school. Now, Rachel, they were emotional. They were crying. They were not cussing. They were not doing anything. And like I said, the only person, they were removed because they went over their 1 minute. The crowd was constantly saying, let them speak, because it was the victim's direct family members. It was the victim's guardians, and they would not let them speak. And so, I think that, people were calling to give them their full time. And half of it was them just trying to fight to be able to get up to the damn microphone, as far as I was concerned. But they were very, it was not an okay situation all the way around. It just was not. And they knew damn good and well what they were doing when they did it. They knew that they were that was going to be the last speaker, the dad of the husband of the principal and the dad of a first grader there, which I'm certain that they do. But the problem is that they didn't allow everybody to speak, first of all. So their reasoning for their 1 minute timer was asinine. They just moved right along. And then they said something about they were going to address the T-Cole certification later. And okay, that's it. All right, we're out. And then they left. And then they removed, they asked everybody to leave. Now, after it was over, one lady, and I thought that she was really, she was really nice to us. She was very cool. She wasn't being aggressive or anything along those lines. She allegedly said the F word. After the session was over, while everyone was leaving, while we were all walking out of the room, nobody was fighting to stay in the room. Nobody was doing anything insane. She allegedly said the F word to somebody that she was with, and the police escorted her all the way to her car. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And she's like, so I'm not allowed to speak? And they're like, well, you can't say words like that in here. And she's like, it's a room full of adults and y'all weren't even still in session. and the police removed her all the way to her car. I thought that was asinine. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? That's got to be the most overreaching BS thing I've ever witnessed in my life. And I think I've witnessed quite a bit, but that was the dumbest abuse of power that I think I've ever seen. And a lot of Walter was right. The local police, the Plainview Police Department, they were they're like, look, we're not saying that you're wrong in this situation, but we're not allowed to have an opinion while we have a badge on. And that's true. The police officers are not allowed. Police officers, sheriff's deputies, constables, fill in the blank. They're not allowed to have an opinion when their badge is on. That is true. That is true, because justice and the law is supposed to be blind. It's not supposed to be one-sided. So in that statement, they were correct. They were doing their job. But as much as I hate Walter's argument for this, and God help me if you guys tell him I said this, just like he goes after the Border Patrol for saying that they're following unlawful orders. And I've been preaching this for a long time. Just because it's policy doesn't mean that it's right. And in this situation, the policy was not right. Now, according to the school board statement that you guys heard, you heard me play it for you, they had to wait before they could contact the victims' families or the families that were involved, because they had an investigation to do. Now, if you watched my live on Texas Fully Loaded last night when we were recapping, when we were all fixing to leave because the rain was coming in, I made the very direct statement then. And I said, what they have just done is they have just told victims, they have just told young people, don't tell your parents what happens at school until we tell you it's okay. And if you think that I'm wrong, you go and ask any of them. You may not speak out to your family about what happens at school. We are in charge. We, the government, we, the PTA, we, the school board, we, the teachers. You don't need to involve your parents with what's going on in this classroom. Do you understand me? We have our own investigation to handle. And when we're ready, we will let them know that something happened. That's exactly what they just said. Victim, don't speak out. Victim, sit down and shut up. We will tell you if you were a victim or not. 6-year-old who consented. Now we've talked about this all for the last couple of weeks since we've known about this story. A 6-year-old cannot consent. And I said this last night to the people that I spoke to. I maybe even said it on the camera, but I've said it on here before, so I'm going to say it again. I don't let my 6-year-old walk out of the house and whatever the heck he puts on unless I've approved it. So if my 6-year-old is not allowed to wear whatever the hell he wants to, then what makes you think that a 6-year-old can consent to giving a blowjob? And if they truly can only account for 34 seconds of video, where it looked like it was consensual to me, allegedly. What happened before that video? What happened after that video? Did the kids get caught by the teacher in the video? Did the kids just stop? Did the girl start gagging? Did she start crying? Nobody knows the answers to these questions because the victims' families, both victims, both children's families have not been allowed to see this. Oh, I say that. I assume the boy's family has not been allowed to see this either. How would you feel? That was the question that was asked over and over and over again last night. If this was your daughter, if this was your granddaughter, how would you feel? This is a sick freaking world that we live in, folks. But what's even sicker is when grown-ups are telling kids, don't talk about it, and we'll address it with your guardians when we feel like it. When the investigation is over. let me make this perfectly clear to you. Okay, are y'all ready for this? I want this on record. Y'all, you hear? If something ever happens to my child and they are not in my direct care or their father's direct care, and I do not find out about it, I will come after you with every single ounce that is within me and to beyond the fullest extent of the law. Because I have entrusted you with the most precious thing that God has given me, and that is my child. And for you to sit here and say that you have to let other people investigate whether my child was touched inappropriately, whether my child was hit at school, whether my child was given a wedgie, I don't give a crap's butthole what it is. Without me finding out about it first, God help you. Because I promise you, he will be the only person that will be able to stop you from the wrath. When Austin first got to middle school, he was slapped so hard in the face that by the time his dad was able to get to him, I was in San Antonio. We got a phone call immediately from our school. Immediately. Before the condensation was even on the bag for the ice pack that he had to put on his face, we got a phone call. Why? Because my child was hurt and the school was doing the right thing. When Austin fell in kindergarten and fractured his arm, we got a phone call by the time he was in the nurse's office. Why? Because the school was doing the right thing. But apparently, if somebody puts a penis in somebody else's mouth, that does not deserve a phone call. Now, here's the worst part about this. And we joke about this here on Texas Fully Loaded because of how freaking asinine this is. But parents who now speak out against the schools, parents who go to school boards, parents who want accountability inside of the classrooms, they are now, according to A.G. Merrick Garland, people of interest who are on watch lists from the FBI and the DOJ. We made the statement earlier about how the drones were flying and about how they were taking pictures. And if you remember correctly, when we did the Open Laredo rally in Laredo in 2020 during all the COVID nonsense, they did the exact same things to me, to our group that was there. They were taking pictures. They were making sure they had faces for every person that was there because they wanted to make sure of who they were going to have to go after. And I'm all for security. I firmly believe in security. You guys know that I'm an avid supporter of our law enforcement on every level. I think ISDs should probably be dissolved and put under the sheriff's department, but that's another situation. That's another conversation. I still support them. But the fact that you are now a terrorist or on a watch list because you're standing up for 6-year-olds shoving penises in other 6-year-olds' mouths, because you're not okay with transgendered men who are putting on more makeup than a freaking clown, are going into schools with their penis hanging out, dressed up in sparkles because, oh my gosh, we can be liberated and we're women too. You should touch my penis microphone. Isn't that funny? I've shown the pictures on this show. You guys know I'm not making that nasty, perverted bull crap up. We are the bad guys. We are the ones who need to sit down and shut up. And we are the ones who are going to end up in jail because we are trying to protect our children. Last night before we left the restaurant, and by the way, this family is absolutely phenomenal. They are an amazing family. They are, if there's an obstacle or a hurdle to overcome, they've done it and they do it together. The grandmother of the little girl and I spoke quite a bit. She and Walter spoke quite a bit last night. All the family. I mean, we were literally just brought into the fold like we were family. It was beautiful. And the little girl was there. And I asked her grandmother, I said, may I talk to her? I said, I'm not asking to talk to her privately, but may I say something to her? And she was just a beautiful little girl. I mean, just had this beautiful countenance about her. She was just a 6-year-old little girl who was trying to act like a 6-year-old little girl. She was playing with the other kids that were there. She was laughing. She was asking her grandma if she could stay the night over at her aunt's house. And I called her by her name after her grandma said I could. And I held her hand. And I said, my name is Miss Sandra. And I said, I came a very long way so that I could meet you. And I showed her pictures of my kids. And she goes, why didn't you bring your kids with you? We could have played. And I said, because I couldn't get all of them on the plane because I had to come up here because I had a very special message that I had to tell you. And I held her little hand. And I said, you are the most beautiful, brave, amazing little girl I've ever seen. God has such a special plan for you. And I said, no matter what anybody else tells you, you are so brave, and you are so strong, and you are so smart, and God has such a special purpose for your life. I said, so no matter what else happens, you need to focus on him. And you could see her little heart wrestling with everything that I said to her. And I said some other things. And it's between me and her grandma. But her grandma told me, she said, Sandra, I truly feel like they thought that they could do whatever they wanted to. Like they could take advantage of her because of her home life, because her mom and dad are not involved in her life. I feel like the ones that are supposed to be protected the most were being taken advantage of the most. Let me tell you something. If you are not shook to your core, whether you got to meet that little girl, whether you got to be in Plainview, none of that crap matters. Because I can promise you, if it would have been 9 mother fluffing days before I found out that happened to my little girl, y'all be needing some bail money, okay? I'm not saying I'd physically ever hurt another soul, but I can promise you 110%. There'd be some disorderly conduct and they'd probably be putting my little happy self in a jail cell. Okay. What they told that little girl, however they said it, to make sure that she didn't say anything to her grandmama or to her aunts, to keep her quiet for 9 fluffing days. And the grandma said, the guy, we've been using Walter's size as a comparison, and we showed a picture, I think, yesterday on the show or the day before yesterday on the show of Charlotte and Walter side by side to give a comparison idea. And turns out it was probably not too far off because, of course, Charlotte's only 4. But the grandma said the CPS worker was way bigger than Walter, way more, built out and just kind of more intimidating looking than Walter. And when they asked why it wasn't a woman CPS worker that spoke to that little girl, don't you know they got treated like crap? They were told that was his right as an investigator. And who do they think that they are? Implying that he had no business talking to her. The fluff, no ma'am, no sir. Once upon a time, look, I know that there's a lot of little freak shows out there that are confused about what a penis is and what a vagina is, but CPS is not supposed to be confused by that. They're supposed to know how to handle sexual trauma. And having somebody with a penis walk into that room, whether he's as big as Walter or as small as frickin' Dan Crenshaw, it doesn't matter. What matters is that should have been a woman in there with that little girl. A man investigator should have been involved. He should have been talking to the little boy. But a woman investigator should have been talking to that little girl. Because regardless of what you want to think, little kids do know the difference between boys and girls. Little kids understand what is right and what is wrong. And a little girl understands that a woman has the same girl parts as me, and a man doesn't have the same girl parts as me. And a man, especially a big bulky one apparently, is far more intimidating and terrifying. I have a great idea. How about this? Here's a great one. Are you ready? All those women facilities, right, where we protect women who are victims of aggravated assault, of domestic abuse, of rape, all those shelters that we have for these women. Let's make sure that they're all run by aggressive looking men, please. I don't want another woman director in one of those. How about that? That sounds like a very safe and fine idea. Because all the school board has done, regardless of their, we're gonna help get counseling for whomever needs it bullshit. All this school board has done is come out and said, well, yeah, we really don't care. Because if we did, we would have done things differently, regardless of what some stupid mother-loving piece of paper says. We have special permissions, and I got to take a commercial break, and we need to have our J6 panel on. But we spent a fortune to make sure that we were there yesterday, and I would do it all over again. I killed myself to get up here yesterday. Walter killed himself to get up here yesterday. We took time away from our families. We took time away from our work. I freaking forgot to even text and communicate with our J6 panel yesterday. This matters so much. This is the kind of stuff that we're willing to put it all on the line for. I sacrificed more time away from my two little ones had to spend time in the car with me this week just so that I could see them. I had to drag them all the way to San Antonio and back just so that I could spend a few hours with them, Arthur specifically. Because there are still people who are not protecting children. We see all these celebrities and all these politicians who want to scream how many more. They just want to sit here and scream all this BS about transgender crap and yada, yada, yada. But where were they for this little girl or that little boy? Where were they? Where are they? They don't give a fluff. They only care about what looks good in the limelight. They are the problem. And just like I told the Plainview parents last night, and I said it on the air, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face. You have got to replace every single board member. You must replace them, and then they can fire him. Because these cowards, these SOBs are not going to resign. They are not going to stand up and do the right thing. Because they've had a month. Are you hearing me? A month to do the right thing. And we see what we keep getting. We're not asking for that boy to get thrown into the fire. We're not asking for anything else other than accountability. Where were the teachers' aides? Why did they not communicate with the families? in a true proper amount of time, which is in, I don't know, 15 seconds, you get the issue under control, and then you call the parents. And you keep calling the parents until they show up at that school. Don't hand me your cock and BS story about, well, we had to get a CPS person down here, and they had to do an investigation. We had to show it to all the people that need to see this video. Go fluff yourself. I need a goose grab a moment. We have our J6ers that we need to talk about. But if you don't think for 1 second that your family is not being affected by what happened in Plainview, regardless of what state you are in, you have lost your mother loving mind. And it is literally coming to a town near you. I'm going to take a commercial break. I'll be right back with our panel. I was trying to type faster. I'm sorry, y'all. I have everything pulled up. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. Of course, as always, the Montgomery County Tea Party. Don't forget the first and the third Monday of the month. Be at Citizens Grill in Conroe, Texas. The meeting starts at 6:30. Try and get there a little bit early so you can have some snacks, get something yummy to eat. Salmon's amazing. Charlotte ate half of it. Then I'll make sure that you're there. You're not going to want to miss it. We do live stream it when we can be in town. So which we're trying, if we need more team members, we need more sponsors, because gas is getting out of control again. So anyway, I need you guys to support our show. Also, a huge thank you to the Vietnam Veterans of America. Your time in Vietnam was only a glimpse of what your lifetime would actually be about. You continue to serve and sacrifice for our country, for our nation, and making sure that no veteran ever truly gets left behind, whether it's on the battlefield or it's here at home. So we appreciate all of the hard work and sacrifice that you do and continue to do for your nation. If you're interested in hosting a commercial here on Texas Fully Loaded, please let me make your dream a reality, just like Mammoth Nation did. They said, hey, we see that you guys have amazing viewers. We have the same core values, so we want to partner up. So if you guys are looking to get away from like Amazon or whatever, do it. Come over here to mammothnation.com/#WeThePeopleWork. That last part is super vital, because if you do that, then we get a little percentage of you signing up, and that's huge, right? Like, let me help you, okay? Now, on top of supporting Texas Fully Loaded, which it's your favorite show because you're clearly watching it, even the haters, it's okay, no one will know. Then you can also get these amazing products that are all American made. They're all from American companies and businesses. So be a part. It's candies, it's fishing gear, it's hunting stuff. It's if you're looking to find some like coins and silvers and all that kind of stuff, you need supplements, stuff for Fido. This is where you need to go. So go to mammothnation.com/#WeThePeopleWork. I don't think that you're going to regret it. You even get like percentage off on hotels and things like that. So, hey, why not? Right. I tell you guys this every single day, and I need you to hear me. This is not free. I guess we can accept Haterade, but I think I have enough on my own, Simon. Do it. Now it's angry coffee. No, I'm kidding. It's okay, Simon. I'm glad that you're here. We love you. As I said before, this endeavor is not free. Okay. Surprise, surprise. It's not easy to get a flight, or cheap to get a flight from Laredo to Longview last minute. It is not cheap to just drop everything and run. There are expenses that our show has to put out, has to incur. My family sacrifices greatly. And even with the love and support that we get here on Texas Fully Loaded, Walter and I are still out of pocket every single month. So we need you to support our it's not just a show that you're supporting. It's advocacy work. It's working for the people. We truly are We the People work. The nation would not know what happened in Plainview had it not been for grassroots activists, had it not been for independent journalism and things along those lines. We are the people who are truly driving what's happening. You're not hearing about this stuff on Fox News or CNN or even Newsmax. They're just not covering it, guys. This is what true independent journalism looks like. And we need your support so that we can continue to do this work, so that we can keep our website running. Our website's due at the end of the month. And we had, this was more important being here than a website. You know what I'm saying? But we need a website so that we can keep going. So I need you to support our show so that we can keep going and keep doing and making sure that we are the hands and feet, because that's what this is all about. Because guess what happened last night? We helped to activate and invigorate a community. People who were saying, hey, what's the next step? What's the next thing that we can do? They just kicked us out. Like, we feel like we lost. They didn't lose. They didn't lose at all. Now they're fired up. Now they understand why school board elections matter. Now they understand what holding your government accountable looks like. Now they understand why there's so many, I can't even say there's so many psychos. There's not enough psychos like us who are fighting for these causes. So we need your support so that we can keep going. Go to TexasFullyLoaded.com. Click on that hashtag We the People Work. Go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, whatever you can give. Guys, I ask this every single day, but this is why this matters. It does. We need your support so that we can keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting, but I'd like to not end up in the complete poorhouse. Like we still have to pay the bills, y'all, so that we can keep doing this stuff. So seriously, anything that you guys can do, we really appreciate it. All right. Now let's get other angry. Are you ready? Are you ready to get other big mad? Let's get big mad with General and Miss Helena. Hi, guys.
What's going
Hi.
on?
How's it going? Sorry, I'm trying to get James Brett on here.
Okay, yes. No, get him.
Link.
Gosh darn it. That's our guest today. And I even put his name on the thing.
You did.
I did. And Miss Helena, we missed you last week. You were out being fancy smancy in South Florida.
Yes, I was. We had a fabulous time at the Clay Clark Reawakening Tour. It was so wonderful. Gosh, how many amazing people that I had an opportunity to meet, and all the Jan 6 moms that came and joined us, and all the J6 organizations that I was there helping to represent. It was absolutely incredible. We had a fantastic time networking, doing podcasts, talking to people, raising money. It was absolutely beautiful.
I love it. I mean, this is literally what it's all about right here. I mean, this is something that we, the people work, we're constantly screaming about. So
yes.
I'm glad that you got to get out there and go and do that, be a part. You know what, Simon, you're not lying. Aluminum foil hats are not cheap. Aluminum's going up. Thank you, Joe Biden. We can't even afford our tinfoil hats. Gosh darn you. General, how the heck fires are you? I'm getting fired up again, y'all.
Oh, I'm doing okay. All the doom and gloom and messed up stuff in society can get you down, but you know what? You know, you just got to pray, meditate, and step into the gap and be the person that you know goes and faces that evil. And you know, I'm proud of you for doing that, Sandra. And you know, you went up there and you know, you went into a bad situation. I know I can feel it when you're talking. I can. You know, it's been ripped open, you know, experiencing that. But, you know, it takes, it takes tough people. It takes, people of faith and to be able to go through, that kind of experience and hear about that stuff firsthand. And, there's nothing more important than protecting our babies, and, people got to understand that when you sit back and you just live life and you let these the wrong people creep into the positions of authority, that's what you end up having. You have, a tainted system. And, that's the problem. Now, and as soon as parents started, addressing the school boards and schools and stuff like that, we saw what happened. And we also heard some of that yesterday on the weaponization committee, subcommittee, hearing that they had. And really want to get into that because a whole lot of stuff came out yesterday with Steve Friend and I believe it was Mark Allen and O'Doyle, Mr. O'Doyle. 3 whistleblowers.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't not.
So they came out and they pretty much exposed the FBI, and the DOJ. I mean, they literally opened up the door for.
I see James in the background, and he's over here cracking up laughing.
Oh, you're gonna love him.
I just look down and see him like falling to pieces over here. I'm gonna bring you on. Go ahead, keep talking, General. You know how this works.
Yay! James is here.
Hi, James.
Oh my Lord, James. That committee, yesterday, and it needs to be paid attention to by everybody.
No, it really does. And, it was funny because literally none of the national news outlets talked about it at all. It's more independent journalism that's talking about it. It's more of the grassroots, the We the People movement that is going, we've been saying that the DOJ and the FBI is corrupt, y'all. And, here we are. And now it's getting more and more proof that it is. One of the things that I heard was about there was incentive to put more wiretaps on people.
And the committee
get bonuses for that.
Yeah. Well, the biggest things that we picked up on was when Chief Friend wanted him to go and investigate and eventually arrest people that were not guilty of anything on January 6th. That was the biggest part of that subcommittee hearing that hit me hard, because, but just because he didn't, he refused to do that. He refused. That's one of the reasons why, the contention began with him and his superiors. And what it was, how all the investigations and all the things are supposed to happen, in the field offices and so forth. What he explained is that what a DC took it upon themselves to, completely, compile everything in DC and decide who they were going to go after and what they were going to be doing. It had nothing to do with the field agents out there, the field offices. And, so there was a lot of things that were changed. It was obvious that they were definitely, targeting certain kinds of people, is what he was basically explaining. And, it's just a sign of the times, y'all. It's a sign of the times that, we need to defund them. We need to, investigate them, and they need to be, everybody that's involved in all the corruption in that agency and the DOJ, they need to be taken out. They need to be, dismissed, basically, is what needs to happen. And we need to get good people in there. That's the issue that we're at in America. We need good men and good women to step up to the plate and take the places of these illegitimate or corrupt people, in our authorities.
Well, and it's important to note that DHS, even though so DHS used to be under DOJ. It's literally been within the last, I think, 15 years that the DOJ and DHS became two separate things. But the problem is the exact same fear tactics and retaliation and all of that stuff that they were talking about that's happening with FBI agents, that is happening with DOJ agents. It's happening with the DHS agents as well. And we're seeing it more and more and more as Mayorkas, who used to be under the DOJ, who was in charge with the DOJ, is over here implementing these exact same policies and procedures. Last year, we had the Laredo North Border Patrol agents stood up and said, hey, quit effing us over. Bad things happen when good men do nothing. And after that camera went off, everybody saw that Twitter video. It went viral like that. They were trying to hush it down. But the thing is that you've got all of these agents who are furious with what's going on. This is not what they signed up for. They want to defend their country. They want to protect their country. They're telling them this is where you're messing it up. And this is, you guys know, this is where Walter and I fight, because they're over here trying to do the good thing. And just as I said to Joseph a couple weeks ago, sometimes they just have to lie in wait. Sometimes they're being held silent until a time such as this. And that time is not for us to determine. That's something between them and God. And we have to remember that. And it's frustrating, because just like in anything else, when we're like, God, come on, like, we're on a time schedule here, big guy. He's like, yeah, I kind of made the time. So just like, chill out, right? Like God's constantly reminding us that he's actually in charge and not us. It's on his schedule, not our schedule. And man, that makes me so angry sometimes, but you're in charge. Okay. I know. So I want to welcome James.
It's hard to do that.
Onto the show.
Hey,
welcome to the show.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How the heck fires are you?
I'm doing all right. I just wanted to do something for my friend General. So
love it.
I'll send you a Bonnie Blue patch. I'll get you a
Bonnie Blue, buddy. So
James, where in the world are you? Or
I'm in Florida, actually. So
you're in Florida. Okay.
I'm in the free state of Florida, hypothetically free. So
yeah, well,
yeah,
you're freer than you are in Texas. So congratulations.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Say that out loud.
And there's some sort of invasion going on there. So
it's weird, a little backwards, I think, because we're supposed to be leading. Yeah. Apparently, it's the gangs in prison, not actually the nation. I apologize.
Well, the cartels, the gangs in prison, yeah, corrupt leaders.
It's fine. There's nothing to see here. Yeah. So, before, we need an update super fast, if you don't mind, James, because it looks like you're preoccupied for a second, which is perfect. So don't feel guilty. Miss Helena, we need a super quick update. We need to know how things are with Rachel, and we need to know how things are with Joseph. So if you can give us a quick update on those two.
Yes, ma'am, I can. So Rachel had her trial. It was like a day and a half. and she was before Judge Lambert, and he has sent her home to be with her family until he makes a determination as to what she's going to be sentenced to. So she's kind of on hold, on pause. I'm sure that she's kind of sitting on pins and needles, just waiting for this verdict to come down, because she has that 1512 charge, which is the one that carries the longest
Heavyweight.
sentence, and she's got her children that she is trying to prepare whatever is coming in the future for. So I spoke to her a couple of days ago. She seems to be in pretty good spirits. Although, she's just sitting there in kind of this limbo situation, just waiting.
Now, did he give her any more freedoms, or is she still confined to her bedroom?
Well, she's basically confined to the square footage of her home, which is not very big. So no, she doesn't have any, no more freedoms of what she had prior to. So she's basically in the same, boat that she was before she went to DC for her trial. So, and then
I
my
hate
dear,
to say it, but at least she's with her kids still and not anything else. So that's at least
we're very glad, and we're very thankful that she has not been taken away from her children yet. And I don't know what she's facing, but she did have 9 charges against her, and so we just have to pray for her and her family. And we're just going to take it one day at a time. And then my dear friend Joe Thomas is actually in trial in DC. This is his 4th day, and I was going to try to make it to court this morning, but between all of the stuff that I have going on, I'm not sure if you even know, Sandra, but I am back in DC. I arrived on Tuesday, and I'm going to be here for the summer. I'm going to be going to lots of meetings on Capitol Hill. I know, James, I'm here for you, babe. I'm going to be going up to Capitol Hill, having lots of meetings with congressional representatives. I'm going to be attending trials, sentencing hearings, going to the DC prayer vigil. I'm going this evening. But we have a lot of work ahead of us to do, and I'm rolling up my sleeves and I'm digging in, and I'm going to hope and pray that I can do something to make some small difference. So that's why I made the decision to come back to DC.
And I know that was a tough decision, because I mean, Florida or DC, gosh.
Well, we're in a different phase of this now, though, so it's, a lot of people have already gone through their trials. There's still a lot of people that are waiting their trials. Sentencing hearings are coming up. I want to try to pack these courtrooms, because if we don't get people engaged and involved, and these judges don't see that America wants to know what's going on. I mean, that's part of what I want to work very hard on to try to do, is pack these courtrooms. So,
and listen, the summer is coming up. Families are going to be going to Washington, D.C. to go and see the Smithsonian and the monuments and yada, yada, yada.
That's
Consider taking a day and going to your federal courthouse. There's just as much of an education there as there is sitting in front of the Jefferson, or sitting in front of Abe Lincoln or the Washington. There is so much let's take the word court out for a second, right? Let's take trials out for 1 second. There's so much history in those buildings. These are still your courts. You can go to them. And when you're there, look for Miss Helena, give her a hug, and say, hey, we're praying for you guys. We're supporting you guys. Hey, we've got the kids, so we probably shouldn't sit in there, but we just wanted to let you guys know that we're here. Go to the prayer vigil in the evening outside. It's right there on the mall, isn't it? It's right in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
No, it's at the DC, actually at the DC jail, the medical treatment facility is what it's called, on East Street. And you go down this little road. It's kind of like the back side of the jail, where it's a one-way road down to Freedom Corner. But yes, if you are in Washington, D.C. or Maryland or Virginia, please join Mama Mickey and her team out there. They're at the prayer vigil every single night. They're standing up for the guys that are locked up in the D.C., what we call the gulag. And they're out there advocating and being the voice for the voiceless. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. James. Now let's hear your radical tale, you terrorist, and see how we can help exploit you some more?
We
just being on this show, you've already entered yourself into a watch list.
Oh Lord!
So
Actually, Poppy, one moment. I got a crying kid.
I usually have one of those running behind me like a little terrorist myself, so we understand. So, but yeah, so there's a lot going on, guys. We've got, like I said, the summer's coming up. Kids are getting out of school. This is an opportunity to be hands-on with your kids. Take them to Washington, D.C. Show them the Declaration of Independence. Show them their Constitution. It's there in these beautiful glass cases so that they're preserved for all of time. And they're not just supposed to be preserved, but they're also supposed to be observed, which means we're supposed to be active participants in them. Our country was not meant to be the land of the freeloaders. It was the land of the free, because freedom isn't free. We have to fight for it. We have to work for it. We have to cultivate it. It's like a garden, right? The vegetables in your garden are free, but you have to work for them. You have to go out and make sure that they're getting enough water, and you have to pull out the weeds, and you have to get rid of the bugs and all that kind of stuff. Your freedom is a garden. Let it grow.
Amen. Preach on, sister.
I just had a hippie moment there, just pop in my head. Go on, James. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so my tale from the crypt. Last June 3rd, I was take this off. I was raided. Our house was raided at a 6 a.m. raid. I heard James come to the door. It's the FBI. Stephanie come to the door. It's the FBI. 2 sleeping children. Luckily, my 4-year-old son slept through it. He was 3 at the time. Slept through the whole darn thing. And we had one officer that I will give credit because he said he stood outside the baby's room and he said, anybody goes in here, I'm going to have a problem with them. So I will give that dude credit, but he was a local cop. It was horrifying. I go to the front door, I put my hands out, and I see dots across my chest. And I knew what it was for right away. And I'd had buddies who had raids, not like this, though. So I was drawn out at gunpoint. Then at the back of the Bearcat, when I was cuffed by FBI agents, which is not supposed to be done. It's supposed to be cuffed by the local law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So they effected the arrest wrong. Then I had to watch at the back of the Bearcat while my lady and my 1.5-year-old daughter were drawn out at gunpoint. And had a guy kind of hugged me a little tighter and said, don't give him this. And it was really hard. That was the hardest moment of my life, watching my 1.5-year-old daughter and my lady with weapons pointed at them. And I don't think I'll ever forget that or forgive that. So God can forgive that, but I won't. So that's etched in my mind. They raided the house. They were looking for a sweatshirt that I wore that day. And I said, sorry, you're 18 months too late. I changed my clothes from time to time. And then they were looking for the phone. So they got my phone. It wasn't the same phone. They asked me about that. And I said, well, you're 18 months too late. I said, I switched phones too. Like, sorry. And you could have knocked on my door, I don't know, a year ago. And I would have gladly put my hands together and, let you do what you're going to do without the Bearcat in my front yard, tacked out FBI agents. And it was a horrible experience. I was drawn out in my underwear in front of my neighbors. So that was a little mortifying. I mean, probably more mortifying for them, but it just it was a horrible experience. Then what they did, they transported me over to Tampa. I was a DHS agent. So if you hear them saying that DHS was not involved in these arrests, they are lying through their teeth. It was a guy named Brett Lindsay. And this other officer, we'll just call him Sean. He was a cool guy. He was a liaison for the FBI and Pinellas County Sheriff. But I got dropped off to the U.S. Marshals, put in a cell. Had no idea what was going on, had no representation, didn't talk to a lawyer until literally 2 minutes before my first appearance before Judge Julie Sneed, which again is a 10th Amendment violation, because you're supposed to be taken to a local magistrate and then extradited to the federal government. So another violation, one of a torrent of violations that day. So I get dropped off, put in leg irons, processed. I go before Judge Julie Sneed. Mike Gordon, the U.S. attorney, and I don't care, he might see this. He's a twit. He's just a worthless twit. Called me an insurrectionist and a domestic terrorist. But there was a U.S. Marshal there, and I'm going to tell you something. The U.S. Marshals, they treated me with respect and dignity, like I would expect a U.S. Marshal to act. They had good bearing. They were professional and compassionate, which I did not expect. So this one guy named Seth, U.S. Marshal, is sitting there listening to this guy call me a domestic terrorist and an insurrectionist, and he was in the pit of violence that day in the tunnel and heaving and hoeing, and I'm like, number one, he's laughing at this point. The U.S. Marshal's laughing because of all the drama and BS that this guy is spewing, and he's making hand motions that are vulgar. And I'm seeing this, and he made me laugh, and that's what I needed in that moment. Yep, that one. Like he was milking a cow.
Yeah, we'll call it
a
that.
milk cow. I guess that'd be a bull. So he's making these motions, and I giggled. And it was just a horrible experience overall. This guy, you could see his disdain, and this team of prosecutors, they're just, they reek of communism and Marxism. And that's really what was going on that day. Since I've been at status hearing after status hearing, I was released that day on my own recognizance. I don't know what determines, and this is really weird, what determines you being let out versus you not being let out. Because some of the most peaceful guys that day are rotting in jail right now. I mean, my brother Joe Biggs, his daughter carries a picture of her daddy around and talks to it. She's 6. Okay. Savannah is a beautiful little girl. They want to call him, a racist, a white supremacist, domestic terrorist, and use all these terms for Joe, but he's a Purple Heart recipient. He spilled blood for our country, and they're treating this man like garbage. So, and all of my brothers, my Proud Boy brothers, we've been treated beyond reproach, like we're something evil, and we're nothing more than American men that love our country. We get together, we drink once a month. Well, we drink a lot more than once a month, but we drink together once a month. So especially throughout this ordeal, it's been my rock, my lady. She is my rock, beyond belief. Without her, I don't know what I would do. I have 5 children. If this goes away, I think it's going to go. I'm going to go to trial next about March, which means it'll be pretty quick. They said a day or 2. So they already know they're going to convict me. I'm looking at 8.5 years. I'll probably get 4. So I'll be sentenced 90 days later. So I'm looking at next July, doing a walk into prison. And my son graduates high school next year, or the year after next. And if they have their way, I'm going to miss my son's graduation. And I'm doing what I can right now, and I'm going to continue flipping a middle finger to the system, speaking out and letting people know our stories, because we're good Americans. We're Americans that stood up and redressed our government, because we knew, and I'm going to say it, that election was stolen. So I don't care. They're probably going to use this in my trial. It was stolen. and they are godless, they are feckless, and they are destroying our country right now. What they've done to Texas is just blowing my mind right now. So, and it's sad. I've got relatives in Texas, and it breaks my heart what they're doing to our country.
Well, it's the governor. So let's get
He's a
one
lump.
thing. We have a governor that has limp wrists, and he's bowed to the Biden regime. That's really what it is.
It's the uniparty. It's not right or left.
Yeah, it's not even just Abbott. I mean, most of the legislators are just as bad. It's literally the uniparty. It's literally, well, we've got to make sure that we can save our own skin. So it is what it is. Yeah. It's disgusting. If you've been following, which James, I don't expect you to, but for most of our viewers, if you've been following our legislature this year, it's a clown show. It's a disgrace. I'm disgusted by it. I'm absolutely, as a Texan, as an American, as somebody who has an eighth of a brain in my head, I'm absolutely mortified that they think that we are this stupid, that everybody just is all go along to get along, and we have no debate, we have no argument, we have no true discussion in our house this year. It's disgusting and it's vile. So shame on you, Texas legislation. Anyway, now James, let me back up just a touch. So you're part of the Proud Boys. You're openly saying that, correct?
Yep.
And so it's not allegedly, like you're
no,
I see
I
you're
am
wearing your black and yellow right now. So I there's no assumptions here, guys.
No.
Now what exactly was your role in January 6th that has led you to being a wanted man?
So I can tell you, I'll describe the day a little bit. We were there to keep people safe from BLM and Antifa, the likes of those repugnant little roaches. And they were there that day. We caught them changing in the bushes. We saw some from Portland. Now looking over the footage, they were everywhere, which is mind blowing. So we were there to keep people safe and allow them to exercise their First Amendment right, that God-given right that man doesn't give us. It's not a privilege. It's a right. So we were there to exercise our first and allow other people to do the same. So we're not a militia. We're not a militant group. We're not domestic terrorists. We had no plan. If you know the Proud Boys, we have a tough time organizing like an hour meeting a month because it's like herding ADD squirrels, if I'm going to be real honest. And we're a bunch of goofballs, and that's what good American men are. We're a little, not all there, and that's what makes us American men. That we joke, we have a good time. So we were there to have a good time. Matter of fact, we were going to have a concert back at the Airbnb, and most of us were up a major part of the night before, just shooting the shit, pardon my French, and just
no F words,
just
please.
Enjoying good.
The Plainview ISD will escort you out. Go on.
I love it.
There's no F-bombs.
So no. So we're sitting there and we're trying to keep people safe, and we were at the Peace Circle and we're doing our F Antifa chant and all that stuff, and all of a sudden the front surges forward, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I heard somebody yell, "Trump is speaking at the Capitol." Something that not a lot of people talk about, but I heard that. Somebody on a bullhorn, and I'm looking for this footage, they yelled, "Trump's going to speak at the Capitol." So the whole crowd surges forward. I didn't know what was going on at the front with Ryan Samsel, that special person that he is, and Ray Epps. I'll keep my mouth shut on those two. So I bless their hearts. So they're up causing havoc at the front, and then the crowd surges forward. Now we're going to the Capitol, and I'm sitting there, and it's like my legs are moving. My mind is trying to process what's going on at the time. And then next thing I know, we've got a line of police in front of us. And it starts going incredibly wrong. I had to keep one guy who I know was not on our side from harassing one of the female officers. Matter of fact, I think she was the one that got knocked down. I told them to back off. That's not how we do things. And then the next thing that you know, the police line moves back, and it was, thinking about it now, it's just so staged. Like, okay, now we're supposed to drop back now. Let's drop back and let them advance. Let's drop back and let them advance more. Well, now we're in front of the Capitol, and I see a team pop up on the mezzanine area there, where the resident was sworn in on his anti-Bible. So there's a team looking down at us, and they pull out weapons, and they're shooting rubber bullets at us. One guy near me took one to the cheek. And then there's women and children in this crowd. They start doing the pepper balls and the concussion grenades and all that stuff. And I happened to look back, and there's literally a kid right in back of me and his mother. And I said, number one, you need to mask up. I said, pull your masks up. So this you're not breathing this stuff in. I said, get the hell out of here. And I'm like, all women and children. I started screaming that, get the women and children out of here. Get the women and children out of here. And then all hell was just breaking loose. They instigated that. They were hitting women with shields. So boom, they'd hit them. What man worth his weight in salt is going to sit there and watch somebody hit a defenseless woman who has her back turned toward them? At that point, they violated their oath. Yeah.
What kind of man is a woman?
Exactly. And that's my thing, is they amplified the situation. So now we've got people all out slugging it out. And that's how they coaxed people in. It was a very controlled approach to what they did. They knew the response. They got the desired response, and then all hell broke loose. So next thing I know, I've got tear gas in my eyes. I'm just sitting there, pepper spray. I bail out, and I said, I've got 5 kids. The guy next to me, he's like, yeah, let's go over to the food trucks. I'll rinse my eyes out. There's a whole story behind that too, that we're not going to hit right now, but I will hit it later. And I promise you, it'll be a golden nugget for the ages once I have more proof. But he says, let's go back to the Capitol. We got to find our brothers. Next thing I know, there's 6 of us that happen to meet up at the same time, right in front of the steps. So it was very coincidental, but we're at the tunnel. And when you're in front of the tunnel, you're getting sucked into the tunnel. There's no going back because there's thousands of people in back of you. So next thing I know, I'm in the tunnel. I heard Victoria White screaming because she was getting the tar beat out of her with a baton. People are pushing, people are screaming, getting pinned up against the wall. It was atrocious. Roseanne Boylan ended up getting beat to death there by Lila Morris, something a lot of people don't know or talk about. But luckily that's getting out through people like General and Helena and yourself. They beat the tar out of people that were peaceful protesters and turned them into enraged individuals. So by that point, I was getting driven out of the tunnel because they were surging forward, getting driven out of the tunnel. I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm like, let me out of here. I'm like screaming at that point. I thought I was going to get pushed off the steps because there's a wrought iron railing in front of the steps. I'm getting pinned against it because I couldn't get down the steps. And by the grace of God, I stepped out and was able to get toward the steps. Well, at that time, Officer Bagshaw, decided he'd like to place a baton on my back, and he cracked my rib. And that there's nothing you can do about a cracked rib. You just let it heal and you eat the pain. But But then after that, I had, keep in mind, I had my back turned to these people. I'm not trying to fight them. I'm not armed, nothing. And he hits me. And then he launches me down the steps. I've got that on video. But and that was a really common story for that day. People getting hit from behind.
Mhm.
That's atrocious. At that point, like even with Roseanne Boylan, when she's down, their duty then, they are duty bound and honor bound to assist her. She's out of play. They need to protect her at that point, to protect and serve. That she's not a threat. They should have been reviving her right away when they saw that woman on the ground. They should have tried to stop the violence instead of spark the violence.
Right.
And that's why I am looking at a max right now of 7.5. They're going to do a superseding an indictment. So I didn't take their plea deal. So now they're going to add more charges, like the communist idiots that they are. You're not going to take our deal. Well, we're going to hit you harder. Well, why didn't you hit me with this evidence right at the start? If it was so legitimate, why did you not present that right away? And it's because it's weaponized. The FBI is weaponized. The DOJ is weaponized, and we've lost them all, folks. They're gone.
Isn't that like right up the alley of like blackmail?
Yeah, it's extortion. Yeah,
blackmail.
It's malicious prosecution is what it is.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the day when people like that are put behind bars, because here's what I know. And Sandra, I know you know this too, because you were just alluding. God wins. God wins all the time, in his time, but all the time. And right. These repugnant behaviors and these Marxist actions that they've taken on people, raiding their homes, destroying families' lives. I mean, I've lost my businesses. I'm going to start America First newspaper. It launches on Monday. Woo! So I've had to come up with other ways to make money. I went from owning newspapers to scrubbing toilets, and because I love my family, I'll do anything I can for my family just to keep our head above water. And it's been a rough road. It's just been a rough road, but God wins, and I'm looking forward to that day when I can. I told my lady, I said, I might get another charge, because if this all unravels like I think it's gonna, the day it unravels, you might see me streaking down the road. So I'm gonna be.
I mean, why not?
Drop
right?
to my knees first, and I'm gonna thank God, and I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it because I know it's coming. I feel it coming in my heart. People like the General and Elena who fight so much, yourself, who fight for what's right. Well, that's the majority of America right now. Welcome to the Great Awakening, because it is happening. I'm seeing it. Even my lip-hearted friends are starting to wake up. So
we got impeachment going through. We got FBI whispers. We got, everything. All their lies are crumbling. I mean, lies lies crumble, man.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. Even the media is not even calling it an insurrection anymore. They're calling it a riot because they know it's coming.
It's a Fedsurrection.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what it was. It was a trap. It was a horrible day. Okay, but don't get me wrong. The violence was not started by the Americans.
No,
it was not.
That's the globalists.
Good. Yes, they shot innocent people with rubber bullets at point blank range on the guns that says specifically can kill at close range. Don't do it. That's attempted homicide. They came by and they bear sprayed and people praying, women and children. I mean, did they have? I mean, they got the go ahead. They didn't have the amount of people there to properly, secure the Capitol in any kind of capacity whatsoever to protect the people in any kind of way. And I mean, all these things have come together. All these truths have come together that have completely just destroyed that narrative that they put out for 2 years. So they so easily got away with. And it's just like the Whitmer case. We spoke to a co-defendant or last night, and And it's that's all it was. You know, it was literally an entrapment scheme. You know, they're talking about, oh, it was an insurrection. You know, these people committed seditious conspiracy, all this kind of crap. There's no proof of any of that stuff. There's no proof of any of that happened whatsoever. And any of these people that have been charged, you know, that they've gone after, you know, people for the smallest things, man. But, you know, James, you know, we want to know how to help you, man. What's your Give, Send, Go? You know, what can we do for you, to help your family, man, you know, to lift you up, man, and let you know that we appreciate you, brother.
My Give, Send, Go is givesendgo.com/James Brett. As far as my family, and how you can help us, we need prayers, because prayers work. I don't want to be, oh Lord, here we go. I don't want to miss my kids growing up. That's my biggest fear. I need prayers. My brothers need prayers. There's a lot of us with families that are sitting here, and because we stood up for America and what was right that day, we're looking at yeah, they took my video down. We're really looking at our families being destroyed because we raised our voice and we redressed our government. I know that election was stolen. The proof is coming out by the day that backs my claim. So these judges are making people in the courts say that the election wasn't stolen. I won't do that. I will not do that. I'll scream it at the top of my lungs that it was stolen, and God knows the truth. So, and I'm going to continue to be unapologetic, and if it costs me more time or it hurts me, I'm going to.
James, weren't they just claiming all that with Trump? Didn't they impeach him based on false allegations?
Yeah, I mean, the big lie.
Didn't all that come out in the Durham report recently? I mean,
yeah, right.
You know, let's talk about election denial, okay? I mean, did we not already deal with that?
It's okay when it's them, right? 2016. Oh, the election was stolen. It was then, but it's not now. Come on.
That's right.
And it's the same machines.
You know, what's good for thee or what's good for me is not good for thee. So
yeah, and it's the same. So really, with my family, I want everybody to pray for America. That's really what I want. We need God to intervene to save our nation, to inspire men, good men, to do something, not to sit back and do nothing. Because what happens when good men do nothing, tyranny prevails. And that's not, and I'm not saying go out and be violent. I'm saying go hold up a sign and say, we know what you did. We know what you did that winter. That could be a new horror movie. But
you can write an article about that in your newspaper. Jim, will you take a moment and tell everybody about America's newspaper? Because that's another way they can support you monetarily.
Yeah.
You're getting ready to launch on Monday. So please just take a few moments.
Will do. So it's AmericanFirstNewspaper.com. What we are doing, we're loading articles in right now. We're getting ready to launch on Monday. If you do a year, it's $1.50 a month. It's $2 a month if you don't. So it's one of the lower cost newspapers, but we'll have relevant information on J6, political information, U.S. news. We've got a section called America the Beautiful, because we need to start talking about what's right with America too. There's families, there's beautiful families across this nation that have good things going on. There's acts of faith that are astounding going on across this country. Revival. We've got a lot going on that's good. So by Monday, we're going to have a ton of good articles and content in there. I've got one coming out that we're going to look back to Dr. Alfred Kinsey, who started this just demonic pedophilia movement that seems to be going on in the country right now. So we're gonna take it back to its origin. We're also going to expose the DHS for what they did that day, including some names of informants we found out. So that should be interesting. So we're going to have hard-hitting articles. We're also creating a one platform. So where Condemned USA, Stop Hate, all my favorites, we've
We love
got
those guys.
Yes, we do.
Awesome. Cowboy Logic, this anybody who wants to write an article that they feel tugging on their heart, we'll take that content and we're going to put it in one space, give the due credit, but it's going to be a platform where all of our voices can finally come together. And that was my vision. We don't have a one-stop shop, so to speak, for the Patriot movement. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to talk about the good stuff too. So what they're doing is they're making us forget about the good stuff. We've got a section on the Constitution. We're going to teach our kids that Constitution online. We're gonna talk about what's right with America, the Declaration, and how special that thing was. What they've taken away from us, our civics, our civic responsibility, our kids' knowledge of civics. So we want to bring that back. So we're gonna hit it hard. So I think that's what we're looking at. Monday it's gonna launch. Like I said, it's $1.50 a month if you do a year, and then $2 a month if you do it on a monthly. So we're gonna keep her simple. It's also gonna have documentaries. Like I did a documentary for Jake Lang called "Freedom Isn't Free." That's a hard hitting one. I let the footage do the speaking. And it does. It tells a tale. So if you want, definitely give that a view.
Well, guys, we are completely out of time. James, you've been an absolute treasure and a pleasure. You are more than welcome on our show anytime you want to. You just give us a call, shoot us an email, do whatever you need to do. Smoke signals. You're always welcome here. We put your links in the comments. So I was excited that the Gibson Go actually went through Helena. So that was exciting to see.
I know, right?
Guys, we will join you again on Monday for Mama's Monday morning war room. So we're excited. We're trying to segment things up a little bit more for you guys. Thank you for being with us in Plainview and everything else that you guys are continuing to do. We appreciate you. God bless you. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, y'all.
Thanks
Bye,
for having
y'all.
us.
Thank you, sponsors. We appreciate you.